3 knocks at midnight. Would you answer the door if you heard them? In Filipino folklore, the Kumakotok's visit is a harbinger of death. Families in rural villages know the sound well. 3 distinct knocks that seal someone's fate. No amount of salt, prayer, or sleepless nights can change what's coming. Tonight, we delve into 7 creatures like this, each tied to real disappearances, chilling witnesses, or historical records. These stories aren't just folklore, they're warnings etched into cultural memory. By the end of tonight, you might find yourself questioning what you believe, and what you'd do if you heard those knocks. 1. The Kumakotok, Death's Messengers. The first knock sounds normal, like any late-night visitor. The second comes louder, more urgent. By the third, the vibration travels through the entire house, despite the porch remaining empty. In the Philippines, this sequence means one thing. The Kumakotok have marked your home. These 3 robed figures, invisible to human eyes, only appear at midnight in rural villages. When they knock, someone in the household will die within days. Families who answer the door find nothing but darkness outside, yet the outcome never changes. In 2015, the Rodriguez family in Mindanao woke to the precise trio of knocks at 1 a.m. The grandmother recognized them immediately from childhood stories. She spent her remaining 3 days preparing funeral arrangements and saying goodbye. Neighbors gathered to pray, hanging palm leaves blessed by priests above every doorway. They lined the threshold with salt and kept candles burning through the night. Despite these efforts, the grandmother passed exactly 72 hours after the knocks, following the timeline described in local folklore. Typhoon Yolanda in 2013 triggered numerous Kumakotok sightings across affected regions. 5 separate families in Leyte reported the midnight knocks during the storm's aftermath. Each lost an elder within the week, 2 to illness, 3 to injuries sustained during the disaster. Survivors noted the knocks always followed the same pattern. The first could be mistaken for wind, the second left no doubt, and the third shook door frames. The psychological toll dominates these accounts. Families described the unbearable wait to discover whose death the Kumakotok foretold. Some keep sleepless vigils, watching loved ones for signs of decline. In Barangay San Miguel, a mother recounted checking her children's breathing every hour after hearing the knocks, only for her husband to collapse from a stroke 2 days later. Protective measures reveal the blending of Catholic and pre-colonial beliefs. Alongside rosary recitations, some families bury eggs at crossroads or place knives under beds, practices dating back to animist traditions. Old records from Cebu describe communities painting door frames with chicken blood as a last resort, though these efforts rarely change the outcome. What unsettles witnesses most isn't the inevitability, but the precision. The knocks always come in threes. The death always follows within 3 days. The pattern holds even when multiple families report encounters simultaneously during disasters. When the Rodriguez family's grandmother died, the local priest noted a detail that matched older records. The death occurred at the exact hour the knocks had sounded 3 nights prior. Unlike ghosts or demons, the Kumakotok don't interact with the living beyond their announcement. They deliver their message and vanish, leaving families to grapple with the waiting. But not all death messengers remain so passive. Across the South China Sea, the Krasue doesn't just predict death, it hunts. 2. The floating head with dangling intestines. You wake to a wet, slurping sound outside your bedroom window. When you peel back the curtain, a woman's face floats inches from the glass, but there's no body beneath it. Just glistening intestines dangling into the darkness. This is the Krasue, a creature that haunts rural villages across Thailand and Laos. It hunts its victims, drawn to the iron scent of blood, particularly from pregnant women or new mothers. By day, the Krasue's body lies hidden, often in a clay pot or under floorboards, while its head appears human. At night, the transformation begins. The head rises, trailing organs like grotesque streamers, slipping through cracks in doors or gaps in roof thatching. In 1986, a midwife in Ubon Ratchathani found a headless torso in a client's rice cellar. The family had heard slurping noises for weeks before their livestock began turning up drained of blood. According to folklore, the Krasue originates from women who died during childbirth or practiced black magic. Historical texts reveal chilling accounts, like a 19th century midwife near the Cambodian border who used spells to prolong her life. After her death, her head was said to roam at night, seeking blood. Records from the Ayutthaya period describe women accused of witchcraft, whose severed heads were later seen floating through villages. Eyewitness accounts suggest the legend persists. In 1982, a village in Nakhon Phanom burned down a house after families reported seeing a Krasue near pregnant daughter's windows. Police found no remains, only a charred jar filled with an unidentified liquid. In 1997, nurses in a Chiang Mai hospital reported hearing a liquid sucking noise outside the window of a postpartum hemorrhage victim who died mysteriously. Defensive measures include planting thorny ketum bushes beneath windows and hanging garlic garlands. Buddhist monks bless amulets and turmeric-soaked cloths to protect homes. Yet, the Krasue's predatory methods remain disturbingly consistent. Forensic reports from the 1970s documented livestock exsanguination with human-like bite marks. In 2001, a rural clinic reported newborns with identical puncture wounds who died within hours. Some creatures just want to scare you. The Krasue wants to feed. And deep in Mongolia's deserts, something far older does the same, but with far deadlier tools. 3. Mongolian death worm. The Gobi Desert is a place of extremes, vast, silent, and unforgiving. Its winds carve endless dunes and the sun bakes the sand into a shimmering mirage. But locals say the desert hides something far more menacing. The Olgoi Korkoi, or intestinal worm, named for its dark red, flesh-like body. It's said to move like a sidewinder, leaving grooved tracks in the sand, and can grow up to 5 feet long, as thick as a man's thigh. In 1926, American paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews documented nomads' warnings about a creature that could kill at a distance, either by spraying venom or emitting electric shocks strong enough to drop a camel. One herdsman described a teenager stepping on what looked like a buried rope. His skin blackened instantly, and he collapsed, foaming at the mouth. A 2014 survey recorded 23 accounts of encounters, describing a limbless, segmented body with a blunt head that rears up when threatened. The creature's behavior is as alien as its appearance. Witnesses report a low buzzing sound, sudden stillness among animals, and a faint smell of burnt copper before attacks. A mining engineer in 2008 found livestock with melted hides, though biologists detected no corrosive substances. In 2005, a Czech expedition set bait with electrified plates, only to find the wires severed and the memory card corrupted. A 2012 Japanese team detected a moving anomaly underground, but it vanished before they could investigate further. Some scientists suggest misidentified snakes or scorpions, but nomads insist this is something else. They bury copper rods to disrupt its senses and warn travelers to avoid coiled tracks in the sand. The Gobi's silence holds secrets, and the Mongolians believe this creature is one of them. If you listen closely, you might hear the desert's warning before it's too late. 4. The sleep paralysis demon, Phi Am. You wake at 3 a.m. with a gasp, but no sound comes out. Your limbs won't respond. A pressure builds on your chest like an invisible knee pushing down. Then you see it. A gaunt figure darker than the room. Its elongated fingers pressing into your ribs. In Thailand, this isn't just sleep paralysis. It's the Phi-am, a spirit that doesn't just terrify, it kills. A 2011 study at Chulalongkorn University documented 247 cases with identical details. Victims described a skeletal figure with glowing eyes, its weight making rib fractures feel imminent. What confused researchers wasn't the hallucinations, it was the consistency. Every subject reported the entity's fingers specifically pressing beneath their sternum, as if searching for something. Even more unsettling were communal attacks. In 2008, an entire village in Phitsanulok experienced simultaneous Phi-am visitations. 7 families woke to the same crushing sensation on the same night. 3 elderly residents died before dawn, their autopsies showing no clear cause beyond cardiac arrest. Thai medical journals hold records of similar clusters. A 1975 report from Nakhon Ratchasima Hospital describes 5 construction workers found dead in their barracks. No toxins, no trauma. Each had petechial hemorrhages in their eyes, consistent with suffocation, though their airways remained clear. The sole survivor, a 19-year-old laborer, claimed he'd watched a shadow strangle his friends one by one while he lay paralyzed. Police noted his mattress bore deep claw marks, though his nails showed no damage. Buddhist monks attribute Phi-am attacks to unresolved karma. Protective rituals involve chanting specific sutras while tying sacred threads around bedposts. More pragmatic defenses come from rural households. Placing shears under pillows, the crossed blades form a spiritual barrier, sleeping face down to protect the vulnerable chest, or keeping a lit candle in the room, Phi-am fears light. A 2003 survey found 68% of Thai sleep paralysis sufferers practiced at least one countermeasure. Those who didn't reported more frequent attacks. The Phi-am's persistence in modern Thailand reveals cultural fears deeper than superstition. Unlike Western sleep paralysis demons, it's considered a physical entity that leaves evidence. Farmers in Udon Thani still point to indented rice husk mattresses after attacks, as though something heavy rested there. Forensic teams in Bangkok's 2019 ghost killer case found unexplained palm prints on a victim's chest, too large to be human, with 6 skeletal fingers visible in the bruise pattern. The case remains open. Some entities want your fear. The Phi-am wants your breath. And in feudal Japan, another predator wants something far more intimate, your trust. 5. The Binding Bride, Jorōgumo. The lantern light catches the woman's kimono as she kneels in the tea house, her fingers trailing across the table. Look closer, and you'll see the faint strands stretching between them, almost invisible unless the flame flickers just right. This is the Jorōgumo, a creature that has haunted Japan's forests for centuries. By day, she appears as a beautiful woman. By night, her true form emerges, a giant spider that wraps men in silk and dissolves them alive. Historical records from the Edo period document disappearances near mountain shrines where young men were last seen following a stunning stranger. The Jorōgumo doesn't just kill, she cultivates trust. Some victims report multiple encounters with a persuasive woman who asks for help carrying firewood or finding a lost hairpin. In 1957, 5 hikers vanished near an abandoned shrine in Tochigi. Search teams found their camera with a series of photos showing a woman in an antique kimono moving closer in each frame, though no one matched her description in nearby villages. The name Jorōgumo translates to binding bride, referring to her method of ensnaring victims. She often targets lonely travelers, appearing near waterfalls or caves at dusk. Witnesses describe her voice as oddly layered, as if multiple women spoke at once. Traditional defenses focus on disrupting her illusions. Travelers carry gohei, sacred paper strips from Shinto shrines, or tie bells to their clothing to break her concentration. Those who survive encounters report smelling something sweet and cloying, like rotting fruit mixed with silk, moments before the paralysis sets in. Modern sightings persist. Construction crews working near Joran Falls in 2012 reported seeing a woman in a waterlogged kimono standing at the tree line each evening. When approached, she'd vanish, leaving behind sticky strands clinging to branches. Forensic analysis identified the substance as a hybrid of spider silk and human hair. In 2018, a Tokyo University study placed motion-activated cameras in areas with frequent Jorōgumo reports. Over 60 nights, they captured a humanoid figure moving with unnatural joint flexibility, its limbs occasionally appearing segmented in infrared. The Jorōgumo represents more than a monster. She embodies the fear of deception. In 2009, a Kyoto businessman reported dating a woman for 3 months before noticing inconsistencies. Her reflection sometimes showed extra limbs, and she never ate in his presence. When he confronted her, she laughed and peeled back her face like a mask, revealing chitinous skin beneath. He woke hours later wrapped in silk strands that dissolved when exposed to sunlight. Police found his apartment walls veined with silken tunnels, all leading to a single empty sake cup in the center of the room. Survivors often describe a specific detail. The Jorōgumo's kimono patterns change when viewed from different angles. One moment, it's cherry blossoms. The next, it's spiders crawling along the fabric. Locals near Izu still avoid forest paths after rainfall, when the morning mist hangs thick. They say that's when her webs glisten brightest. As Japan modernizes, the Jorōgumo adapts. Apartment buildings near wooded areas install salt lines along doorways, and shrine talismans now include synthetic fibers to snag her claws. Yet, construction workers in remote sites still report tools bound in silk each morning, a reminder that some predators evolve alongside their prey. 6. The beautiful river woman who drains life force. A fisherman casts his line into the moonlit river when movement catches his eye. A woman stands knee-deep in the current, her kimono clinging to her body, droplets sparkling like stars as they slide off the fabric. She smiles, and he wades in without thinking. This is the Kawahime's trap. Survivors describe her touch as cold and heavy, like river stones pressing against their skin. Within minutes, their flesh turns spongy, the texture of soaked bread. Some report coughing up brackish water hours after escaping, their lungs burning as if they'd been submerged for days. Edo period records from Wakayama Prefecture tell of men found bloated and waterlogged near waterfalls, their bodies unnaturally preserved. Local officials noted these deaths always occurred during the dry season when rivers ran low. The 1793 case of a merchant near Nachi Falls stands out. His journal described meeting a woman who beckoned him toward the cascade. When rescuers found him 3 days later, his skin peeled away in sheets, revealing muscle tissue stained green with algae. Modern sightings follow the same pattern. In 2006, a hiker disappeared near the same waterfall. His camera contained 6 photos. The first 5 showed empty mist. The 6th revealed a woman standing ankle-deep in a non-existent pool, her wet sleeve raised in invitation. The Kawahime doesn't just drown victims. She replaces their breath with river water. Medical reports from Nagano in 1991 document a survivor whose chest x-rays showed lung cavities filled with liquid, yet no water entered his airway during resuscitation. Doctors extracted 1.2 liters of fluid that smelled of rotting reeds. When questioned, the man whispered about fingers plunging through his ribs like they were parting water. He died 3 days later when his heart stopped. An autopsy revealed his blood had diluted to 60% water content. Protection methods focus on breaking her illusions. Fishermen in Shikoku carry iron nails to drop at her feet. The metal disrupts her connection to running water. Others avoid looking directly at her, instead watching her reflection in still pools. This sometimes works. A 2014 incident near the Shimanto River involved a man who averted his gaze just in time. He reported hearing footsteps circle him for hours, the ground turning muddy wherever they passed. When dawn came, he found his backpack filled with pond scum, the contents dissolved into sludge. What makes the Kawahime especially dangerous is her mimicry of benevolent spirits. Shinto shrines near rivers often receive offerings for water kami. The Kawahime uses these rituals against victims. In 2010, a Kyoto University study placed security cameras at 10 waterfall shrines. Over 6 months, they recorded 14 instances where offerings disappeared not by washing away, but by being pulled under by unseen hands. One clip shows a sake bottle sinking unnaturally fast, as if yanked down by something much stronger than the current. Recent sightings cluster around man-made water structures. Workers at the Kurobe Dam report seeing a woman in Heian-era robes walking across the reservoir at night, her feet never breaking the surface. In 2019, an engineer checking overflow drains found his safety line jerked violently, nearly pulling him into the pipe. When co-workers hauled him back, his wetsuit was covered in handprints that evaporated within minutes. Maintenance logs from dams across Japan contain similar entries: unexplained suction events, blocked filters clogged with strands of black hair, occasional whispers captured by underwater microphones. The Kawahime's most chilling aspect is how she weaponizes fascination. Survivors admit they knew the danger but couldn't resist approaching. A 2017 police interview with a rescued kayaker reveals this clearly. She held out a dripping sleeve, and all I could think was how the water looked like liquid silver. Even when my fingers started dissolving, it was beautiful. His medical report notes second-degree burns and perfect handprint shapes. The skin bubbled as if boiled from within. Unlike typical yokai stories, the Kawahime leaves forensic evidence. Lab tests on clothing from victims show elevated levels of diatoms, microscopic algae that shouldn't exist in human lung tissue. In 2003, researchers analyzed mucus from a survivor's airways and found freshwater plankton species extinct for 800 years. The Kawahime doesn't just kill. She replaces your body's essence with the river itself, particle by particle. And while she haunts Japan's waters, another creature defies biology entirely: a snake that rolls instead of slithers and speaks with a human voice. 7. The snake that shouldn't exist. The construction workers froze when they heard it. A high-pitched hiss like steam escaping a kettle, coming from a thick, foot-long snake coiled on the freshly poured concrete. What made them call supervisors wasn't the sound, but how it moved. Instead of slithering, the creature rolled sidewise like a wheel, its stubby body somehow propelling it uphill. This 2001 sighting in Hiroshima Prefecture added to Japan's long history of Tsuchinoko encounters. The creature defies every rule of snake biology. Barrel-shaped like a beer can with a distinct neck, able to jump 3 feet vertically, and, according to hundreds of testimonies, capable of human speech. In the 1980s, at least 13 Japanese towns offered cash bounties for captured specimens, sparking a nationwide hunt. The highest reward reached 2 million yen, about $18,500 today. Local governments printed wanted posters with detailed illustrations noting key features: viper-like head, disproportionately thin tail, and the ability to spit venom accurately up to 6 feet. Thousands joined searches, But every claimed capture turned out to be a known snake species, usually a mamushi pit viper with abnormal swelling or an escaped pet python. Yet consistent details emerged across unrelated sightings. A 1987 incident in Nara involved a farmer who described a Tsuchinoko reciting his deceased mother's favorite lullaby before biting his shovel hard enough to dent the metal. The creature's biomechanics baffle experts. Normal snakes rely on undulating motions, but multiple witnesses described the Tsuchinoko tucking its head to tail and rolling like a tire. A 1993 video from Shizuoka shows a dark, thickened reptile moving this way across a dirt path, first in staggered hops, then gaining enough momentum for full rotations. Frame-by-frame analysis reveals no visible legs or propulsion points. Herpetologists note that an extinct snake species, Polyophis, shared similar proportions 50 million years ago, but no fossil record connects it to modern times. Defensive measures focus on exploiting the Tsuchinoko's alleged weaknesses. Rural households keep brass bells near doorways, as the creature supposedly flees from sustained high-pitched sounds. Hunters carry small mirrors based on folklore that the Tsuchinoko hates seeing its reflection, a belief stemming from tales where it reportedly cursed at its own image. The most famous encounter occurred in 1994, when a forestry worker in Okayama claimed a Tsuchinoko spoke to him in the local dialect, saying, "Your mother wears men's geita sandals," before spitting venom that burned through his pant leg. Modern searches use technology to pursue the legend. In 2018, a team from Kobe University set up thermal cameras in the Yoshino Mountains after multiple reports of a heat signature matching the Tsuchinoko's size and movement patterns. They captured a 60-centimeter-long warm-blooded object moving at 8 kilometers per hour, twice the speed of normal snakes in the area, before it disappeared into a rock crevice. Soil tests at the site later showed elevated levels of a neurotoxic compound similar to viper venom, though no known local species produces it. What keeps the myth alive aren't just sightings, but physical traces. In 2006, a Nagano farmer found his chicken coop breached not by digging or climbing, but by something that left rolling impressions in the mud leading straight to crushed eggs. The coop's motion light recorded brief audio of a distorted voice whispering, "3 remain." Last year, road crews in Tokushima discovered a shed snakeskin measuring 35 centimeters wide, far larger than any native species, with an unusually thick midsection tapering sharply at both ends. DNA tests matched no known database entries. The Japanese government officially stopped funding Tsuchinoko searches in 2003, but local enthusiasts continue the hunt. Some researchers suggest the creature could be an extreme example of island gigantism, while others propose it's a surviving prehistoric species adapted to mountainous terrain. What's certain is that in remote villages, people still take precautions, hanging wind chimes, avoiding answering unfamiliar voices in the woods, and never following the sound of something rolling downhill at night. Because in Japan, even the snakes might be listening and waiting. There you go. You've now met 7 monsters that don't just haunt dreams, they shape entire cultures. The Kumakotok's midnight knocks, the Krasue's wet slurping, the Fiam's crushing weight. These aren't random horrors. Each targets a specific fear embedded in human psychology. Anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss noted that myths help cultures resolve contradictions. These creatures do exactly that, giving form to the intangible dread of the dark, of deception, of losing control. The Kawahime embodies the terror of drowning on dry land. The Jorōgumo preys on trust itself. What makes these legends endure isn't just their horror, but their adaptability. Modern sightings of the Krasue cluster around hospitals. The Fiam now appears in urban apartments, not just rural huts. These creatures evolve with our fears. The Tsuchinoko's recent thermal camera captures prove how even skeptics get drawn into the hunt. Science can measure venom burns and waterlogged lungs, but it can't explain why witnesses describe the same details across generations. So, the next time you hear 3 knocks after midnight, ask yourself, do you dismiss it as the wind? Or do you hold your breath, remembering the Kumakotok's rule? 3 knocks means 3 days? The scariest monsters aren't the ones we imagine. They're the ones entire villages swear they've seen. And somewhere right now, someone is realizing their grandmother's stories weren't just stories. Comment with your answer. Would you open that door?